What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're taking a look at a Master League Premier team. And this is a team I've shown you guys before, and it was actually the team that got me to Legend rank last season in Season 9. It's a very strong team. It's borderline overpowered, I still think, even with the introduction of Warrain into the meta, it doesn't really affect this team too heavily. If you're looking for a team to help you climb, maybe you don't like the Love Cup meta that's going on right now, and maybe you don't want to invest in those super expensive level 50 legendaries for the Open Master League, I do recommend this team. I've been bouncing around a few points below the leaderboards, around 3200 over the last couple of days with this team, so it can hold its own against some of the best trainers and teams out there. Definitely do recommend it. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. It's free. If you're enjoying the content, hit the like button, it helps me out a lot. Appreciate it, you guys. Thank you, and let's take a look at today's team. And on the lead, we've got Haxorus, and I know Haxorus is incredibly rare and difficult to get a hold of. Just hatching Axews can be incredibly challenging. They're very unlikely to hatch out of 10km eggs, but Haxorus is incredibly strong in the Master League Premier Class. He has access to Counter, Dragon Claw, Night Slash. It's got fantastic coverage. Only has to watch out for the Charmers. It can beat Metagross, it can beat Snorlax. It's a very powerful choice. And then in the back, we're running Snorlax in the Safe Swap position with Body Slam and Superpower Snorlax. Again, a very strong pick for the Master League Premier Classic. Has neutral matchups with most of the things in the meta. If you have a Shadow Snorlax with good IVs, even better. I just don't have one built, so I'm running this 98% regular Snorlax, but Shadow Snorlax does do better and would be the preference for this team. And then in the back, we've got Metagross. Metagross is a staple of the Master League Premier Classic. It's one of my favourite Pokemon in general, and I'm always happy when I get a chance to use it in this cup when it comes around. Now, Metagross does need Meteor Mash from its community day. It's one of the best uses of an Elite Charge TM if you do have one and don't know what to spend it on. I do recommend Meteor Mash for Metagross. It's fantastic for raids and for PvP. Also, I realise this is a very hard meta line, not much spice here, but this is a team designed to be strong and climb and get up towards those highest ranks and beat the best teams and the best Pokemon, and for that you just need hard meta choices. So, with all that said, let's take a look at some battles. Alright, first matchup, and we've got our Haxorus leading into Metagross, and this is a very solid lead for Haxorus. The counter damage is neutral, adds up very fast, and the Night Slash does a huge chunk of damage. If Metagross actually lets the Night Slash through, you can shield once and just farm them down entirely and leave with a butt ton of energy, which is a fantastic position to be in. This opponent swaps out to a Dragon Breath Gyarados, and to make sure that we can maintain switch, we actually stay in, take some Dragon Breath damage, and throw a Dragon Claw, which either gets a shield out of him, or it does a nice big chunk of damage and means we can come in with Snorlax, land one Body Slam, and then lick down entirely. And that's the way I like to approach Gyarados safe swaps. In general, if they do swap in a Gyarados and they've got Dragon Breath, I do think it's worth throwing one move, because otherwise if they land the Crunch debuff, Snorlax can struggle to take switch advantage for you. Plus, the Metagross comes back in and we can throw a Superpower at it, which does a reasonable little chunk. It's not monstrous damage, but again, if you had a Shadow Snorlax, that would do a much bigger and more respectable chunk of damage to that Metagross. But now we've still got Haxorus locked in here, we can shield at this Meteor Mash. The Metagross doesn't have that big of an energy advantage, but it does swap out into Garchomp. We're going to be able to throw a Dragon Claw at it, which either does monstrous damage or gets a shield. We get the shield out of him. And because this is a Dragon Tail Garchomp, we're not super threatened by this move. It's probably a Sand Tomb and Outrage. It is actually the Outrage that they throw, which does a big chunk of damage, but it's not going to take us out, and they're not going to be able to farm us down with Dragon Tail before we get to 2 Meteor Mashes. So we're in a very strong position here. We get a shield with one Meteor Mash, we're going to get to another. They do throw a move. This is worth a shield because those Dragon Tails from Garchomp would smash Haxorus to pieces. That's one of its main weaknesses, is actually getting hit with dragon damage, Haxorus, because it's not putting out dragon damage itself. The counter is very useful, but it doesn't do well against things like Dragonite and even that Gyarados that can come in against you. But with the little bit of farm from Metagross, we get to another Dragon Claw, we take out the Garchomp and take that win. GG. Now, bear in mind, these battles are at the 3200 ELO range rating, so this is a very high ranked trainers and teams. So we pull another Metagross lead because Metagross just simply is one of the strongest Pokemon in the Premier Classic, so you're going to see a lot of it at this level. in this cup. You're going to see it at all levels in this cup, to be honest, but they actually say swap their own Haxorus, which you don't see that many in this cup, to be honest, because not many people have them built, and then a lot of people that do have them built are actually running level 50 legendaries in the Open Master League anyway. But this is a best buddy Haxorus. I think it's got better IVs than mine as well. And the main issue there is that means they're going to win CMP tie against us. We're going to have to throw second, and that means that we're going to lose this matchup if we play it out. But also, Snorlax and Metagross both lose to Haxorus, so we have to stay in and play that out because our own Haxorus is our best answer to their Haxorus. The Metagross comes back in, intent on farming us down, and because they gave up switch advantage and took the shield advantage, we're going to be able to get a Night Slash off that you can see does an absolutely massive chunk of damage. And since their Metagross is loaded and we are shields down, we're going to bring Snorlax in because we know it can survive one move. If we brought in our Metagross, they'd just throw an Earthquake, one-shot us, and then we'd be kind of stuck probably for the end game. But they have a Waterfall Gyarados back there, and this pretty much seals our fate. We're not going to be able to win this game. Their team is pretty well built and deals with ours quite well. We don't have a solid answer to that Haxorus safe swap, unfortunately, and that's going to really cost us in this game. If you can get Haxorus aligned with a Waterfall Gyarados, it does very, very well because you're resisting that water damage. They don't get to threatening charge moves very quickly. You can spam the Dragon Claws out and really threaten big damage. But against Metagross, Waterfall Gyarados is a very, very tough wall to get past. And Snorlax can go toe-to-toe if it's got a lot of health, but we already took a Meteor Mash from the Metagross, so there's no way we're going to be able to take this win. And really, Haxorus can be a very scary safe swap to deal with if you don't have a good answer to it, like a Charmer, or even something like a Dragonite that can put a lot of pressure on with that Dragon Breath damage. But even then, you've got to threaten them back with your own Dragon Claws for massive, massive damage. And in matchup number 3, we've got the Waterfall Gyarados. So you're going to see how this matchup does play out, and you can see that the Gyarados is getting dramatically outpaced. You will outpace them even to their Aqua Tails, which is not going to hit you very hard at all. But if they build up quite a bit, and it could be a Crunch or an Outrage, it is worth a shield. The Crunch will do big damage. Haxorus is quite squishy. It's probably its biggest drawback, is just how squishy it is. So if anything's neutral as a charge move, it's probably going to do a lot of damage. You can take Cross Chop from Machamp, but the Rock Slide is a little bit iffy, as well as the counter damage. And a Meteor Mash will pretty much one-shot you as well. So now we've taken out the Gyarados, we've got their own Haxorus for us to deal with again, and it's worth giving up a shield here to actually get a shield back out of them or do big damage, because we're probably going to make it to 2 charge moves here, and this is going to force either the second shield or one-shot them. Dragon Claw does a huge amount of damage, comes through, they don't shield, absolutely smashed to pieces, and that is absolutely going to save our bacon in this game, because if that Haxorus had been able to run rampant on our team, we'd have struggled with this Excadrill that they've now got in the back. But with a 1 shield advantage, we think Snorlax is going to be able to take it out, barely, but we are going to catch a draw run on Metagross, which sounds like insanity, but they do have to throw another to take us out before we get to the Meteor Mash, which is fantastic. This means that they've got less energy now than they had when we swapped out of the Snorlax, which is what we needed. We needed them to burn some energy off and waste it so that they can't get to as many draw runs to take out our Snorlax. They let the Body Slam go through, even though they got a shield, but I think they know that we're going to make it to at least 2 charge moves now, and they're just going to surrender and give us that game. Alright, jumping into matchup number 4 against Changshu. And what are they going to be bringing in for us? We've got a Haxorus against Metagross again. And Metagross is one of the most common leads you're going to see up in these high rankings, probably as well as Gyarados is a very popular choice. And I've noticed a lot of Shadow Machamp this season around in the Master League Premier Classic, and I think that's because it's got good coverage against things like the Metagross and other steel types like Magnezone. But we're going to be able to stay in this matchup, and you can see we're going to shield this 1 Meteor Mash. We landed a Night Slash, and we would have been able to farm them down from that point. So they are going to swap out aggressively into a Gyarados. Since we're already at the Dragon Claw, we're going to throw it straight away and swap into Snorlax and start getting that energy built up to start throwing those Body Slams. You can let the first move go through no matter what it is. Unless they build up for a Hydro Pump, then maybe you want to consider shielding, but since we were already down 1 shield, we were definitely not going to give that up. Now, this Gyarados is going to throw another move, and we want to lick down entirely, but what we've not accounted for is that we haven't got the counter damage that sometimes we have extra from Haxorus when we normally throw a Dragon Claw before we swap out of a Gyarados safe swap. So what this means is they actually get to an Aqua Tail with 1 HP and a Dream and force the last shield out of us, and this puts us in a really bad position. If we'd have been able to lick down the Gyarados, we'd have been in a much stronger position. We'd have had a shield to spare for this back matchup, but now we're 2 shields down. They've still got 2 shields, and well, they've got a Haxorus. That's it, we're pretty much doomed. Even though we've got a full health Metagross and more than half health on our Haxorus, this thing is going to be able to run absolutely rampant. They can land a Night Slash on us, and they can just shield whatever we throw at them. We swap out to our own Haxorus in a vain attempt to try and get to a move, maybe force a shield to what we can do, but it's just not going to be enough, and that's going to cost us the game, really. It's unfortunate, but that's the way these matchups can go at the top of the rankings, when 1 HP, 1 stat IV difference can make an entire difference to a full matchup and how it plays out in the end. GG to my opponent there. Jumping into matchup number 5, and we've got a Gyarados lead, and the main thing to pay attention to with a Gyarados lead is what they want to do. Like, if they've got Dragon Breath, it is a bad lead for you and you want to swap out to Snorlax, but you want to throw at least 1 counter to make sure that they actually have Dragon Breath, because if they've got Waterfall and they're going to swap out, or they're going to even stay in against Haxorus, you're going to be in a very strong position. And because that Gyarados swapped out to Dragonite, we can assume that it is in fact a Waterfall Gyarados. So we do want to preserve at least some health on the Haxorus so it can put some work in there. Once we land the Dragon Claw on their Dragonite safe swap, we bring in the Snorlax to make sure that we can definitely get switch advantage, and they actually bring in a Togekiss that they've got in the back. So they were hoping to bait out our Metagross with a Dragonite safe swap, and oftentimes if they do safe swap a Dragonite, you can swap straight into Metagross and shut it down fairly well. But you got to consider that some teams are built like this, where they do want to bait out your Metagross, which would be your best answer to this Togekiss. We're going to get this Snorlax is putting in serious work here. We're going to get a shield or take out the Togekiss. Entirely, they're committing 2 shields for their Gyarados in the back. And can Metagross and Haxorus with 1 shield pull it together to deal with this? Now, Waterfall Gyarados, as we've said, is a very good answer to our Metagross, and we will struggle against it. So we're hoping for Haxorus to put quite a bit of work in here. What we're hoping to do is to get 2 Dragon Claws off, probably get both shields, and then hope that Metagross can get to 1 Meteor Mash and finish it off, because these counters are adding up slowly. They are resisted, but Haxorus has a pretty big attack stat. Now we're going to swap out, transfer the damage from that Waterfall onto Metagross, because we think we can get another couple of counters in from Haxorus once Metagross goes down. This Gyarados is going to throw a Crunch, which does a huge amount of damage, but it's not enough to take us out in one go. We are going to be able to make it to this Meteor Mash. It's going to do big damage, get them very low. They have to throw, or we will be able to bullet punch them down, and this should leave them energy dry. Can Haxorus take them out with a couple of counters? We survive 1 Waterfall, it's just enough. We take the win. GG. So that's a 3-2 set that's going to put us up at 3,240 ELO, which is a fantastic showing from this team. I've only got the 1 set for you guys because I am planning to tank my score now, push that ELO down so I can matchmake faster and get some more teams and videos out for you guys, because matchmaking is hella slow at this point for me at this ELO ranking. So I'm going to leave you guys with this one matchup showing how we flip around and actually win a Sylveon lead with this team, because I just feel like it's a game worth showing. As always guys, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, consider hitting the like button. Any questions, ask them in the comments down below. I will try and respond to you guys if and when I can. If you're already subscribed to the channel, you're an absolute legend, and I will catch all you guys next time.